A quick warning. Today's episode talks about death by suicide. Hi, I'm Shashank Bhargava and you're listening to Three Things, the Indian Express news show. In this episode, we talk about the predatory practices of India's instant loan app industry. We also talk about why the BJP is unlikely to push through the Uniform Civil Code this year. But first, we talk about IIT-Bombay, one of India's most premier institutes. Earlier this year, IIT-Bombay came under the spotlight for alleged caste discrimination after Darshan Solanki, a first-year student, died by suicide. Solanki's parents, who belonged to the scheduled caste, had made allegations that their son had died due to caste discrimination at the institute. Now, months after his death, IIT-Bombay has issued anti-discrimination guidelines which state that it is inappropriate to ask other students about their JEE rankings. In this segment, Indian Express's Pallavi Smart tells us about it. Pallavi, for those who may not recall, could you talk about who Darshan Solanki was and what had led to his death?
Darshan Solanki, he hailed from Ahmedabad in Gujarat and he was first year student of chemical engineering at IIT Bombay in Mumbai. He died on February 12 by jumping off from the refuge area of his hostel inside campus. It sparked a huge controversy. His family had alleged that he was victim of caste-based discrimination on campus.
Right, and this case was talked about a lot. Could you tell us what was the reaction of his friends and family and the institution itself at the time?
So, there was a strong reaction by his family and friends. And after that reaction, the discussion of caste on campuses of all the IITs had started, not only IIT Bombay. In fact, IIT Bombay's inactive SC/ST cell was put under the spotlight for not being able to take proactive steps of reaching out to students coming from the reserved category. And then several also questioned the delay in caste awareness course promised by this specific cell to sensitize all on the campus regarding the reservation policies. While all this was happening, the internal committee report of the institute had concluded that there was no evidence of any caste-based discrimination against Darshan, and he was rather under academic pressure.
Right, and besides this, the police investigation had also concluded that Darshan's poor academic record and a threat from his batchmate Arman Khatri were the reasons behind his suicide, and Arman was also arrested by the police for abatement of suicide. But now, months after his death, IIT Bombay has issued specific guidelines to its students. Could you talk about what these guidelines are?
Yeah, sure. These are anti-discrimination guidelines issued by the IIT Bombay, and according to them, it is now inappropriate to ask other students about their JEE advanced rank or GATE score or any other information that may reveal caste or other related aspects. Now, JEE advanced rank is the entrance exam for the undergraduate courses and GATE is entrance exam for the post-graduation course. According to the institute, the student who is asking the question may feel that it is innocent and it may be driven purely out of curiosity, but asking that question can often have an adverse impact on the other student. Other thing this anti-discrimination guideline prohibits is that it prohibits students from forwarding or exchanging messages, including jokes and other messages which are abusive, hateful, casteist, sexist, or even exhibit, bigotry based on religion or sexual orientation. So all that will now be construed as harassment or bullying, whether it is done in person on mobile phone or online platforms, social media platforms.
And Pallavi, could you talk about why they have focused and specifically asked students not to inquire about each other's rankings?
That's actually very important because even after Darshan's death, his suicide had sparked this conversation of many forms of caste-based discrimination on campuses of various IITs. And the question of asking JEE rank was foremost of the concerns raised by many, as it indicated if the student is admitted on a reserved category seat. So Darshan's senior, in fact, his sister also had alleged that after knowing Darshan's rank, his roommate had reduced interacting with him. So all these discussion had always led to how the discussion of rank indicates a person's caste, and that is why the focus maybe is on discussion on the ranks in entrance tests.
And how have the students at IIT reacted to this now?
According to students, this is the first time when the institute is actually communicating on what constitutes to discrimination on campus. Because until now, students have shared that the anti-discrimination awareness was more about, grievance redressal or, where to approach in case you have a complaint under any type of discrimination. But now this is taking a form of sensitization. Some of the guidelines were always mentioned during the orientation sessions of students when they joined in the first year of IIT, but those were not repeated later for the remaining years. But now these are for all the students. And in addition, this specific request to avoid rank discussion was told via mentors earlier, informally, when they are talking to their fresher students. But now the institute has taken explicit stand by making it formal, asking students not to discuss rank.
And Pallavi, after Darshan's death, you had spoken to a lot of students on the campus. Could you share what stood out to you in those conversations with them?
In conversations, I'll say the question about rank was definitely a biggest concern, because most students had shared how discussing rank was their go-to topic, when they enter IIT campus, because it's their first year and they have spent a lot of their life preparing for that entrance examination, which was the gate for IIT. And in this, competitive environment, many of them like to brag about their rank, some were shy about their rank, etc. But the discussion of rank eventually ended up deciding their social life basis on who they are hanging out with, etc. The first year was a crucial period, and because this is the time when all these topics are discussed, because later on they are mature enough to deal with any kind of comments on caste or any other kind of discrimination. But the first year has been a crucial year for most of them after entering IITs. And the institute now is really seen taking cognizance of the concerns raised by students.
And next we talk about how instant loan apps are posing a new set of challenges for law enforcement and financial regulation agencies in India. Instant loan apps are mobile applications that promise quick and easy access to short-term loans. These apps claim to provide financial assistance without the hassle of lengthy paperwork and credit checks. When we spoke to Indian Express's Kiran Parashar, he said that these apps became very popular during the COVID-19 lockdowns.
During lockdown, all the social distance and everything came. So at that point of time, even many people lost their jobs and many people wanted money.
And that's when these instant loan apps started cropping up.
So what does this instant loan apps do is they collect your documents virtually. For example, it might be your Aadhaar card, PAN card and address proof, and also probably like if they require your salary statement, and also if they require any kind of other documents, they will collect it virtually on an app and they will provide you instant loan. These are unsecured loans and a very small amount loans, and those are all directly credited to your bank account in a matter of like few hours or a day, and not more than a day.
So getting a loan from these apps is easy and convenient. However, there is a flip side to this. These apps charge an exorbitant rate of interest which can range from 16 to 49%. And what's key to note is that when people struggle to repay the loan, they fall prey to some of the disturbing practices that are unfortunately prevalent in this industry. And here Kiran talks about the story of Tejas Nair, a 22-year-old engineering student who experienced this firsthand.
Tejas Nair, 1.5 years ago, in 2022, probably like in the early January or February in 2022, had taken a loan of 46,000 rupees from a instant loan app to help one of his friend's friend, where his friend's friend had promised that he would pay the EMIs. However, his friend did not pay the EMIs, which became a loan default. Then they just had to borrow loans from other apps to pay the EMIs for this money. So then what happened was, so here the interest rates are exorbitant. So the amount from 46,000 reached up to 1 lakh, including the interest. So they just kept on trying to repay the money in one way or the other way. He tried several things. One is that after college hours, he also worked as Zomato, Swiggy delivery boy to earn some money so that he could repay loans, because he had taken loans from multiple instant loan apps by now. So after that, he also tried his luck on stock trading. He assumed that he would make a quick buck, but again, he failed there.
And Kiran says that that's when loan agents started bombarding him with endless phone calls and threatening messages. In fact, they even sent him explicit photographs that they had morphed, all in an attempt to get Tejas to repay the loans.
So when you install an app, the first thing they ask is permission to access your SMS, gallery and calls. So the moment they get permission to all these three things, they can go through your entire phone contacts, they can go through your entire SMS history, they can go through entire your gallery, like whatever the photos that you have clicked or you have received or you have sent. So they get total access to it, and they misuse all these things and threaten the customer or blackmail the client. So these apps have been doing that from a long time. And as they get hold of contacts, they also get to know to whom you talk and who are on your contacts list, who is your friend, and everything they get to know. And also another thing is they also get to know your social media circle as well. And that's what all they need. And then even in order to threaten or blackmail people, they also send a list of contacts and their contact numbers to you, saying that I will send your morph photo or I'll send a photo to all these people which I have sent, and I have their contact numbers. So this is how they get hold of everything.
And when Tejas' family came to know about what he'd been going through, his father, P.S. Gopinath, chose to help Tejas by repaying some of the borrowed money.
So unfortunately, what happened was Gopinath PS, who had repaid the loan of 1,700 rupees of Tejas, his details were also compromised in the process. So then what they did was they even morphed the photo of Gopinath and started sending this to his wife, friends and family members. So the family was really going through a severe trauma, and Tejas felt that he was the sole reason for all those things.
Kiran says that shortly after this, Tejas died by suicide. And his case is not isolated. For example, last year in Bengaluru, another person named Nanda Kumar T also died by suicide after facing consistent harassment by agents working for instant loan apps. Kiran says that a number of cases have been registered with the CID cybercrime in Bengaluru, and that even the Enforcement Directorate has launched an investigation into this industry, stating that it operates illegally in India. And this is primarily because many of these apps are not registered with any non-banking financial institutions or the Reserve Bank of India. ED's investigation is also the reason why a lot of these apps have now shut shop.
This money lending business was run illegally by fintech companies. So they were not supposed to run this business. So it was illegally run in India. So it all began only almost the end of last year and this year to go against these companies.
And the other thing to note is that a lot of these fintech companies which have been offering instant loans are actually owned by Chinese firms, which are looking to collect data of Indian users.
For example, like if I apply for a loan, I'll definitely share my Aadhaar card, my salary slip, my PAN card and other things. So these are basically to know the status of my financial status, right? It explains my financial status. And the repayment of loans and interest of loans is collected in the banks of these shell firms and transferred to the foreign accounts of Chinese owners of fintech firms. So this is also a money laundering case. It's a classic case of money laundering, which they do, and it is illegal in India.
And Kiran says to avoid the authorities, the owners of these fintech companies appoint unassuming Indians to be part of their board of directors, at least on paper.
All these telecallers, office boys, and like some investors who repay money or people who are associated with the loan apps, like a customer, all of a sudden were made directors. So they initially did not know that even the agenda of these Chinese companies were of to siphon the data of the people here. So this is how all these small unorganized people became the directors. So when they dig deep in, they found out that all these Chinese companies, there were Chinese nationals who were behind establishing these companies in India, and they had fled from the country even before the police investigations started. So, till date, no Chinese national has been arrested for violating the norms or for illegally establishing these companies in India.
And aside from this, the police also encounter challenges in cracking these cases because the firms hire people from all over India as loan recovery agents, and the law enforcement agencies lack sufficient coordination to follow up on these cases.
For example, if somebody commits a crime, cyber crime from Delhi or Rajasthan, it is very rare that somebody from Bangalore goes to Delhi or Rajasthan to arrest these people, or even there is no coordination between Bangalore and Delhi police to crack the case.
However, Kiran says that since the ED started investigating this industry, things have appeared to slow down.
So after this ED started investigation against this Chinese loan app racket, where it seized to the tune of 106 crores and some of the companies closed their operations here and other things. So it is gradually reducing. When I was speaking to Joint Police Commissioner of Crime in Bangalore, SD Sharanappa, he said that recently the number of these cases, instant loan app cases, has reduced compared to last year, because there has been an action at the institutional level to curb all these menace.
And next we talk about the Uniform Civil Code, an idea which proposes a single law to govern personal matters such as marriage, divorce, inheritance or adoption, irrespective of an individual's religion. Last month, during a poll-bound rally, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had made a pitch for the UCC, which once again sparked a debate around the issue. The opposition, along with many in the minority communities, spoke out against it, especially those who fear that a single law for personal matters will be skewed in the favor of those in the majority. And during this time, many thought that the current government would rush to pass a bill concerning it soon. However, this does not appear to be the case. Indian Express's Liz Mathew, who reports on the BJP for the paper, tells us that the party is unlikely to push through it right now. Here's what some top leaders told her.
One, you cannot push it without creating a lot of disturbance among some communities, not just the minority Muslims or other minorities. It is also among the tribals, which is a big support base and constituent for BJP.
And she says that the upcoming state elections taking place in Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh all have a significant tribal population, and the party is wary about irking them.
See, like for example, like politically also, now that G20 is coming, suppose BJP is pushing for UCC now, and all the tribals have already passed resolutions and they have already approached the Supreme Court against UCC.
And this also includes the Mizoram Assembly passing a unanimous resolution stating that the government should refrain from implementing the UCC. Liz says that there is a significant tribal population in almost every state in the country, and the party wants to prevent the kind of protest that had taken place against the Citizenship Amendment Act.
If the tribals come and have some protest march or something when the G20 is there, how does it going to affect the government's image? And how it will be like denting the government's image, especially when President Draupadi Murmu, from the first tribal women president of the country, so the tribal organization across the country would be approaching her. So it will affect the BJP's optics it wants to create ahead of the G20. So do you think that, the BJP would like to have the protest across the country?
Most definitely not. But it's not just a matter of the tribal population and those in the minorities. Liz says that this issue affects the overall Hindu population as well.
It is also very difficult to convince even the majority Hindus, because as we know that there are some tax benefits for the Hindu undivided families. So people think that once Uniform Civil Code comes into place, all this will get affected. And as we know that India from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, even among the Hindus, the customs are very different in terms of their marriages, in funerals. A lot of things are different.
For example, the practices and customs of a UP Brahmin, she says, would be very different from a Brahmin from Tamil Nadu.
So you need a lot of consultation. You need a wider acceptability for such a move. Of course, it has been in BJP's ideological agenda for a long time. And it is one of the agenda which is still unfulfilled because BJP has already gone ahead with the scrapping of Article 370 and also the construction of Ram Mandir has already started. It is likely to be completed and inaugurated before the next election. So, but this is one ideological agenda, among the three major ones which the RSS and the BJP have been talking about.
Liz says that instead of pushing it nationally and bringing out an overarching law, the party feels more comfortable if the UCC is implemented state-wise first. And this is why a number of state BJP governments, including Uttarakhand, Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat, have already begun working on it.
Uttarakhand has gone much ahead of others. The expert committee has completed the process of consultation and it will submit its report soon. And Uttarakhand committee has, unlike many other expert committee, they have that mandate to see that it is implemented. So the committee will be there and the committee will give the report soon. The government will work.
In fact, she says the BJP sees Uttarakhand as a pilot state for the UCC.
In Uttarakhand, you don't have many tribals. Those people who are in the tribal area, they're classified areas. They are not indigenous tribal people in Uttarakhand. So Uttarakhand do not have that issue to address. Other state is Gujarat, where the BJP has already appointed a committee. Then Goa, then Madhya Pradesh. But in Assam and Uttar Pradesh, two key state of BJP, in terms of BJP's electoral and, whatever optics and all, these two states have not.
She says this is another indicator that the party right now is hesitant about aggressively pushing for it. But that does not mean the party won't be talking about it. Liz says that the party will try to keep the issue alive, particularly for its key voter base, who expect the party to fulfill the promises it has made.
For example, for the temple and for the Article 370, they are very happy. So now what is left is this. This is the only issue which BJP can dangle before them that, okay, we are on to this also. So BJP wants the discourse on UCC alive and afresh so that they know that their prime constituency of this hardcore Hindutva loving people, they know that it is there in the parties and in the government's agenda.
You were listening to 3 Things by the Indian Express. Today's show was written and produced by me, Shashank Bhargava, and was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it. Share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can tweet us at Express Podcasts and write to us at podcast@indianexpress.com.